Hello, folks. Welcome to Osquery office hours. It is September, and at least in Boston, it's rainy, and maybe we're going to get a hurricane this weekend. So who knows? Hopefully, it is calm and I don't know, like a nice late summer, early fall for everyone else. Today, let's see. We usually start off with announcements. I don't think I have any announcements. I guess I changed a lot of stuff in package serving since the last meeting, but I was going to talk about that down in agenda. So, other announcements? Okay. Well, moving on. The next section is in sort of questions, issues, PRs people want to talk about. The intent here is to have an open section for people dropping into the meeting. If anyone has something they want to raise, now's a great time. Otherwise, we'll jump on down to agenda.
Hey, I see Ben just joined. Ben, was there something that you wanted to raise in particular?
Nope, just here to see all the fancy news coming out with Osquery. Haven't been here in years, but finally have time to join.
Cool.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Okay. Well, I guess agenda items, and if anyone has questions, we can always, talk however we want. So as people may or may not remember, Osquery runs some apt repositories, apt, RPM, things like that. And they do a tremendous amount of bandwidth. The last time I looked, they did about 2.5 terabytes a day across, since I actually have the number, across about 3 million requests a day. This is a lot of bandwidth. So 2.5 terabytes generally greatly exceeds what one can do cheaply. So this has been an adventure. The last iteration, every now and again, I get annoyed at the price and I go and change some things. The current iteration uses Cloudflare now to serve things because Cloudflare R2 egress is free. It's not totally free because they still charge us per transaction. But it looks like the current costs will be in the realm of $20 a month from Cloudflare. And I'm not quite sure what from Amazon yet, because we still have to use Amazon for some parts of this. Okay, that was confusing. There's some kind of weird caveats. Okay, so one of the things about Cloudflare is that Cloudflare does not want to host domains that they are not the registrar for. This is like part of their giant weird business model. They'll do it if you have like Business Pro accounts, but they're really kind of weird about it on the edges. So they basically just want to own registration, DNS, serving across the board. So they cannot own osquery.io. That is owned by the Linux Foundation. And while we could maybe point our DNS servers at them, I don't know if I want to. Our DNS servers are currently sitting in Route 53. So what I set up was a new domain, probably osquerypackages.com, because I was not clever when I registered it. And that domain serves packages. The same way pkg.osquery.io does, pkg.osquerypackages.com serves the same content. And then pkg.osquery.io has a cloud front function on it that redirects everything to the other domain. So it's a pretty straightforward, like CloudFront just issues a redirect over to Cloudflare. Questions? It's a little confusing.
So that's the part that you're not sure yet what the cost will be?
I mean, I can tell you the costs. The costs are currently running about $2 a day right now.
Which
they're
is,
a little,
if I remember, that's way down from how it was.
Yeah, it's a little hard. We also, when I was recently evaluating this, I did all of this work in the beginning of September. and also discovered that we had a CI runner that had been running for a few months, and that has a substantial cost on it. So, you know, it's a little blurry. Yeah. So, I mean, I think where current costs are probably going to run us. I don't know. I want to see how this goes, and then I may change some things again, because there are some things that Charvel is asking if there's a I don't know if that's related or not. We'll come back to that in a minute. One of the things that I noticed inside Amazon's pricing is Amazon S3 is free for transfer within regions. So if you have a bucket in a region and you transfer out of that within the region, it's free. So the prior version of this, before I brought Cloudflare in, I had buckets in about 5 regions and was distributing load across them based on whether or not something was coming from an Amazon IP. This was imperfect, but it helped a lot, because as it turns out, most of our traffic comes out of Amazon US East. There's like someone in Amazon US East that just hammers our package server. So I may bring back that redirect so that things coming out of Amazon US East go to the Amazon US East bucket, and everything else bounces to Cloudflare. Kind of trying to let something stabilize, look at graphs, and then see if that helps or not. This would be much more clear if I had diagrams for people to look at. It's very chaotic. Okay. Any questions about that? Okay. Charvel points out that someone filed a bug saying they couldn't download packages.
Yeah, I just noticed that, and but it lacks any detail whatsoever. So,
I mean, can you download packages? Let's find out if I can.
Yeah, I couldn't reproduce it, so I could download
Great.
Windows, Mac, and Linux packages and RPM and deb. So, but I'm also not sure, like, does osquery.io point to pkg.osquery.io, or has that been changed to pkg.osquerypackages.com?
Any requests to pkg.osquery.io will be redirected to pkg.osquerypackages.com, and the paths should translate back and forth. So
awesome.
It should all just kind of go. Related to that work, I also started rewriting the entire way we do code signing in GitHub Actions, which is less scary than it sounds, because I'm actually not touching the code signing code. I'm just kind of moving the GitHub Actions things around. At some point, I would love reviewers for that. It is addressing one of the problems we have in releases as well. So to remind folks, so many pieces here. The way we currently do builds and releases is, this is work from Trail of Bits, so thank you, Stefano and Alessandro, and whatever other benefactors are out there. The way this works is we tag something in GitHub, we let CI process that, and then we run a code sign build. The code sign build fetches the artifacts out of CI, or maybe it just rebuilds, I can't even remember. It runs, it signs it, and then it uploads it to various places. This has had sort of a logic bug around when we build a beta release and upload it to GitHub, and then we build a production release and upload it, where it rebuilds it. So we basically end up with different signatures. So that tends to confuse people, because they'll like fetch a beta package and they'll be like, well, this is version 5.9.1, and now the production one is different. Does this matter? So it's a conversation I've had a bunch of times on Slack. And one of the ways that I saw this in Collide and that I started building out here is the initial code signing build uploads to one place, say GitHub, the release there, and then you promote it into S3 when you're ready to sort of declare it stable. So it separates out build and promote steps. So I split our release files to separate build and promote. And then I also updated the promote one to push it into S3 and R2 at the same time.
Nice. And we do similar at Fleet with our builds. Like there's a build and promote separately.
Yeah. I haven't been able to wholly test the build part because I needed a release. And then we had pain because our builds were too big. Thank you, Stefano, for fixing
right.
that. I'll try and get back to testing that because I couldn't test builds for a little while. But I tried to build in logic to not rebuild in code sign if it already existed. So things like that. And yeah, there are some PRs up in the code sign repo. So if anyone is up for reviewing those, give a holler. Yeah. And I guess the other piece here is I am happy to invite people into the Cloudflare account. Probably TSC peoples. It feels like it should probably be more than just me.
Yes, and if I remember, is it Cloudflare where it's a really, really basic permissions model and you can only do like user management from the sort of single super admin account?
I don't know the answer to that.
I am hold on, I can log in.
I mean, I'll just invite you and we can see.
Yeah, that sounds good. And
what email address, Zach?
I think it's zwas@osquery.io.
Let's see. Okay, I think I don't know, see what happens. So I sent you an invite. And any other TSC people want an invite in here?
Okay, there's actually, I don't know if they changed it recently or I was just misremembering, but there's actually much more less permissions than I remembered. At least on my Fleet account. I'll log into the Osquery one and see what happens there as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Other questions about any of this? Anything people want to know, hear about? Hopes, dreams?
I think we're already at the packaging, but I filed in something for something that was discussed on Osquery Slack about the managed policies. And we just want to know if the approach that was posted there is a viable option. And of course, if somebody's already working on that, or yeah, we should provide code.
Welcome, Henry. Let
Hi.
me write down. What are you talking about? I kind of maybe saw something go by.
Okay.
But any information would be great.
It's in the office hours document, and in any question PRs people want to discuss, I added this. I guess
wonderful.
It should be visible.
Yes, I see that. I will.
Okay.
I will write it in.
Sorry, my connection was broke, and then I just first typed it and then I rejoined. So maybe this draws some confusion. So it's a colleague of mine who outlined a couple of weeks ago approach to get a better visibility with the managed policies table without breaking things, and there was literally no reaction. And of course, I think it's interesting for not only us, for anybody using Osquery on Mac.
Mm-hmm.
I think if it's just introducing a new column, then that's fine, and it shouldn't break any backwards compatibility. There's also, you can do things like make that column like additional or hidden, or if it does, but I don't think that's required.
I don't understand how the addition of a column solves the problem described.
Yeah, I was just reading the what about introducing a key column, and I'm like, introducing columns is fine. We do it all the time. We update tables and schema. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm also trying to read through the Slack message right now. So
Yeah, I posted it because I think there the context, because there's an example, can help a bit. I didn't want it to copy the whole Slack message
Mm-hmm.
into the document.
I mean, so just to maybe see if I understand this right, the managed policies are inherently complex nested data. What does this
Yes.
table return today?
You don't get the details that you're looking after.
Okay, so today we have a
Because-
managed policy table that only returns the existence of a policy. Except we have policy value. It's kind of weird. What's on policy value?
There's some nested structures sometimes, and these are not read yet.
Sorry, I'm trying to understand the state of today so that I can feel like I have a sense of what we should do for broader things. Oh, I see. So we do, there's one level of traversal, but not two levels of traversal. Okay, so this is just like a shoddy EAV implementation.
Yeah, that makes some of the best, yes.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm slightly more grounded in what's happening. As people here know, I'm generally a fan of unraveling complex nested data and presenting reasonable EAV structures. So it seems reasonable to me, and maybe there's a little bit of nitpicking about what the column names are here. You know, taking direction from plist makes some sense. I can reply in Slack as well.
Yeah.
I think that this does have the potential of breaking some people's existing use cases, but I am not sure that that's the end of the world, right? Because what, you know, in an EAV use case, so a lot of the collide tables are EAV tables, and I think a lot of the existing Osquery EAV style tables are sort of broken around the edges. Like you're seeing this one's a little weird. The plist one I know is buggy, and I have never actually filed a bug, so sorry, people. And there's these sort of details around, like you end up with kind of an entity. It's like if you look at this table, right? You have name, which is the key name, and you have value, which is the key value, but you don't have anything for what the full key path is. So you're talking about introducing key as a flattened form of the full path to it, which, you know, could be fine. But then anyone who's doing something off name and value is going to run into things where they fall short, because now there might be two instances of the defer keyword or something. You have to sort of parse a full key. And I don't know that that's wrong or anything. It's just kind of worth noting that even the addition of a column, once you start traversing into nested data, does potentially break an API here. I think it's fine though. I think if you wanted to add columns, you probably should be looking at adding both a full key and a parent column, because that's generally what you need to do filtering on it.
Mhm.
And I'll try and reply in Slack as well about this, and dump some notes into the minutes about this
Yep.
conversation. Do people understand what I'm talking about? People have questions, because oh, do I love me EAV data? No questions. No one wants to talk about EAV data structures. Yeah. Well, okay. Stefano, did you maybe put down a 510 release agenda item?
No, I did. It was just a question. I was out last week, so I'll get back on reviewing things, but just wanted to ask if anyone had something reviewed highly. I know there's one waiting on Yusef, or now waiting on me, but if there are any other PRs people would like reviewed, I have some bandwidth this week. Marcos, I tagged you on one Windows-based one because it's a little bit. It's Stefano's UTF-8 one. It's not marked for 510, but if you can help with that review, it would be super awesome.
Yeah, that's fine. I will take a look.
Stefano, you have the CPU usage and CPU peak usage PR that's been hanging out for a while.
I think I should close this. Close that. Yeah,
I'll at least take off the 510 tag.
Nah, because things changed on, let's say, on our customer side a bit. So even last time I had to, rethink it and still had in time. So yeah, let me just close it.
Let's see.
Where it is. Oh yeah, here it is.
I'm kind of just looking at the milestone right now. There's certainly stuff in there that could get reviewed. Some of it looks pretty tractable.
I think the 8053 adding hidden launch agent daemon discovery, I think there are test failures, and I don't know if it's worked on. I don't know if we want that on the milestone. I think we're still waiting on the original author to kind of update and reply.
Are we? I don't think we're waiting on them to reply to anything. Honestly, it generally seems fine. I don't know if the test failures are real or if it just needs to be rebased or something. I mean, if it comes down to it, we could just not, like, you don't have to merge everything in the milestone, right? They're just kind of there as things, as suggestions. I guess the ones I care about are the ones from me, 8037, and then 8052, which is the follow-on for it, from my coworker. I know 8052 is a little bit subtle in some ways, but it removes effectively a 0n squared bug. What else do we have in pull requests? I know Stefano's got some stuff. We'll look at it. We've got this regep split thing. I feel like you've got that in draft. I don't know if we know what we want to do with that.
Yeah, no, still have to do something about it. Meaning, yeah, it has to have some changes. Either that, or we were, I think, discussing about how breaking that is. But
yeah. What else do we see in here? There's this 8077, which is like some mutexes. I don't know if mutexes on event tables. Charbel, you actually reviewed this, so you might even be in okay shape.
Yeah, it is. I'll take a quick look again. I wasn't at a computer last week.
No, it's fine. No criticism. I'm just sort of skimming over them. Looks like no one's really touched this in a month. So
There's also the Cloud ID to yCloud instance, the Yandex Cloud. Like, I've never used it. I usually try and build PRs locally and try to kick the tires, so to speak. I mean, it looks fine, but I don't have access to Yandex. I don't want to have access to Yandex.
I think if it looks fine to you, it's probably just fine. You know, I think it's commendable to try and test them, but like I don't have Yandex, and I'm not going to spin up a test environment, and I'm not going to spin up an Azure test environment if someone does something similar. So
yeah, and the thing is, like, I already have Azure and AWS accounts, so usually it's easier to kind of just put in my AWS tokens and try it and test that.
I think if it looks like, you know, it should work in theory and looks about right, I think it's fine to approve it. So I wouldn't feel like you have to spin up Yandex just to test it. Yeah. So if you've absorbed it enough to feel okay about it, approving it seems fine. Like it doesn't look like it's creating a security vulnerability. It doesn't look like it's, you know, going to cause some crash error or some weird vector, right? It looks like it's adding functionality, and maybe we can't get that JSON to be 100% sure it's right, but it's clearly an improvement. And if there's a bug in the JSON parsing, then, you know, we can iterate. So I think that's probably my view. What did Teddy used to say a lot? Is it better than what we have today?
Oh, Teddy used to build each and every PR.
But he also would say, is it improvement over today? So if it feels like the right kind of direction, then I think it's fine. Other stuff people want to talk about? Take a look at the security stuff. Take off. What people like?
When you
Guess
say
we should
security stuff, you mean dependency vulnerabilities?
I mean dependency vulnerabilities. I see
We
two
should
of
take a
them.
look.
Maybe I should like actually assign myself. I was looking at those, so I'm almost at the end of the LZMA update, and yeah, next time I'll do the libmagic one.
Cool.
And otherwise, I don't see there shouldn't be any other.
Thank you.
Well,
Do people want to look at PRs? Do people want half an hour back?
I'll have to drop off a little bit early, so I might call it.
I
But
could use
we'll-
time back as well, personally.
Works for me. I will take this time and write up a response to Henry's question about EAV tables.
Thanks.
Thanks, Al.
Thank you all for code review and PRs and being here and just, keeping Osquery going. So
Thank you, Seth, for everything that you're doing. It's a lot for sure.
Yeah, thank you for all the new packaging stuff, especially.
I'm excited about promote. I'm excited to not rebuild the packages every time we call something stable. Go through that. So I think that'll be good.
Definitely.
So okay.
Sweet.
See y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
see you. Bye.
Thanks all. Bye.